Hey all, it's Jess from Sunflower Dairy. So I have been harvesting tomatoes the past couple days. It's full out tomato season, so I've been getting several different varieties. So I have a lot of dark smoky tomatoes. I have the lighter yellow Jubilees, the big old Kellogg's Breakfast, a few ox heart shaped ones. So lots of tomatoes, and we cannot eat that many fresh tomatoes all at once. Like, I'm talking baskets and baskets full of tomatoes. So today I am making homemade tomato sauce. So how I do this is I harvest all my tomatoes. I cut out the cores of my tomatoes, cut them in half, and then I use a food mill. So this has a little crank right here, has a little thing right here that cranks it around. Then it has the screen in the bottom so that you're not getting the seeds and the peels into your sauce. So I've been cranking tomatoes like crazy, and let me just show you all this tomato paste I made. Look at how full that is. That's a pretty good size. So I'm going to show you how I flavor and season my tomato sauce. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this up on the stove, get this to start simmering. I'm going to put this on about medium heat, and then I'm going to start cooking up some other veggies and herbs and all of that. So I usually, when I do my sauce, I go by a guideline of a recipe. So I'll have my recipe, and usually it's a smaller batch. I do big batches when I cook things, just so that I can do it all at once, and then I don't have to do tons of small little batches. I just like to get it done. So I usually fill up my saucepans pretty full, and then I'll usually double or triple the ingredients depending on what it calls for. So tomatoes, I've got some peppers I'm going to be cutting up, and then I have some onions. All this stuff that I'm using today is from the garden, by the way. So tomatoes have been harvested from the garden. Peppers have been harvested from the garden. Onions have all kinds of herbs. So all of that has been harvested from the garden, which is awesome. I can say that this sauce is going to be 100% from the garden, which is awesome. You always want to try to do that. If you can't, it's alright, but when you can do that, it's pretty amazing. Okay, so tomatoes are simmering. Now we're going to be chopping up some peppers here. So I'm just going to be taking the stems off, taking the seeds out. I have cast iron skillet right here. I'm just going to be chopping these up and getting these put in here. I'm not too concerned about how small these are going to be, because I'm going to, after this stuff's done cooking, I'm going to be blending them up into a paste and then cooking them into the tomato sauce. So I'm just getting those into the skillet. And for that big pot of tomatoes, I'm doing about 4 large peppers, chopping those up. in those cooking. I'm gonna be adding some onion after I'm done chopping these peppers. Also, this is a great time if you want to save your seeds for next year. As you're cutting the seeds out of your peppers, you can save those for next year. Peppers are one of the easiest things to save seeds from. When you're cutting your pepper open, just save your seeds, put them on a paper towel, and let them dry out, and then store them for next year. Alright, we have those peppers cooking. Now we're going to be doing our onion. Now, like I said, I'm not chopping this stuff up too much, just enough so that I can get it cooking, because I'm going to be blending this up into a paste, puree type thing, and then get that cooking so it's a nice smooth sauce. Before I got these veggies cooking, I got this pan warmed up with a little bit of olive oil. So all this is starting to cook. Alright, so we have that. Now I'm going to be adding some of our homegrown garlic. So I'm going to be breaking off, there's quite a few cloves in here, probably about 8 or so cloves. I'm going to go ahead, chop those up, and put those in our pot of sauce. So just going to crack this open. Get our cloves all opened up here. Oh man, this garlic. If you don't cook with fresh garlic, oh my goodness. Beautiful smells. Flavor is amazing. And garlic is one of the easiest things to grow. Just plant it in the fall, let it go all winter. You'll usually start seeing some greens growing in the garden in the spring. You'll let that go most of the summer. Then when you start seeing your scapes on your garlic, you go ahead and harvest your scapes. Then a few weeks later, after your garlic tops are starting to die back, then that's when you start harvesting your garlic. You can let it cure. And oh my goodness. Homegrown garlic. Alright, I'm just dicing this up a little bit. Like I said, we're going to be blending all these up anyway here. Oh yeah, the smell of these. Beautiful. So I'm just going to let these cook down. And I'm going to be adding some herbs. into our sauce. So I have a bunch of parsley that I harvested earlier from the garden, so I'm going to go ahead. I have these special scissors here. They're actually 4 herbs. They have several different blades in through here, so it goes ahead and chops it up a couple times as you're doing it. And I do a couple teaspoons of these. I'm at the point where I've cooked from scratch for so long, I know I can visually see how much stuff is when I'm measuring it out, so I don't have to use tablespoons or anything anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop up a couple tablespoons of parsley in here. Alright, now I'm going to be adding some basil. So I'm going to be doing quite a bit of basil. Probably about half a cup of basil, so I'm just going to chop that in here until you can visually see that it looks about that amount in here. I just chop up the leaves. Not really going to be using any of the stems or anything, so just chopping up those leaves in here. And this sauce has a great flavor. I know a lot of people, when they do sauce, they like to just do a plain tomato sauce, so they can use it for anything, but this is a really good flavored sauce, and I use it in just about anything. So some people, they like just plain sauce, but I like flavors, so I'll go ahead and add all that extra stuff. And then that saves me a step later. Plus I have all this fresh from the garden, so I'm just going to go ahead and add it now, because later on, when the garden's not producing and I want to use this, I just want to be able to go ahead and use this and not worry about trying to find some fresh ingredients to add to this. Alright, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to mix this up. Let this simmer down. Oh yeah, that smells beautiful. Alright, so I'm going to be adding some sea salt, about a tablespoon. Then some ground pepper, probably about a teaspoon. Ground pepper as well, if you don't cook with ground up pepper, grounding it up yourself. That's really beautiful when you're cooking to use that. So if you've never done that, give that a try. Alright, we're getting a lot of beautiful flavors going on. Alright, these onions are starting to cook down a bit. Starting to turn translucent. These peppers, they're starting to cook down. getting some beautiful smells going on in here. All right, so here's our sauce cooking down. So after I add my veggies in here, after I get those all blended and everything, I'm going to be getting those blended up so it's like a smooth consistency. I'm going to put it in here, and then I'm going to let this simmer until it thickens up, and I want it to get down to about halfway. So right now this is a little bit watery, and if you want your sauce consistency, you want this to simmer down to about halfway so it's thicken up just like sauce. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let all of my veggies and sauce keep cooking, and then I'm going to add all those together. But thank you all for watching. Have a blessed day.